We are live. This is the market update. I am your host, Bill Noble. What just happened? That is undoubtedly on your mind. Let me help explain it to you. In bull markets, things are not easy. In crypto, I have said this over and over again, and I know it's tough to hear, and I know it's tough to deal with, but bull markets don't make it easy on you. Everyone thinks that you buy it and it just goes up forever. Not true. So here are a couple of ways that bull markets get you. This is the first time we're seeing this particular price action. So first, markets can flash crash, right? Meaning they can go down for like 3 days, scare everybody, and then come straight back, right? That's what happened before Thanksgiving. The next thing they can do is bore you, right? In other words, it goes up. Everybody knows it's going to continue to go up. And then it just kind of slumps in a range and puts everybody to sleep. Then the third type, which is where we probably are right now, is, the market goes down. People get trapped up top. Everybody needs the market to go back up. So if that's what everyone needs, that's not what happens. You either get some sort of range, all right, or there's a stop hunt. People got very levered long this market. And what you're witnessing with $1 billion in liquidations is everybody who either accidentally bought the top, bought highly speculative assets, right? Or just sort of like experiences like euphoria and then shock. You can have those people get flushed out. Now, what I don't want to happen is if you did a bad trade, get out, right? Like tax loss sell, just exit, period. Now, if you have capital left, you probably will get a chance to deploy capital if everyone freaks out, say, I don't know, 4 days from now, a week from now. That said, I think this is set up to sort of like discourage people over, I don't know, a 5-6 day period, and then have an absolute monster Santa rally, right? The closer you get to Christmas, the more powerful the rally. But just like Thanksgiving, right? They could try to shake you out first. Now, I don't know if we're going to go over the charts. We're going to go over the news. We're going to try to keep this very chart heavy. But this is very typical in bull markets. Equities, 2010, 2011, you had like 30% declines on disruptions that really had nothing to do with the overall market. If anything, all right, these bull market blowouts are distractions from what the next big trade really is, which I think is Web3. So let's take a brief moment to talk about Web3 before we get into the news. The government owes $36 trillion. They have to build new industries. We've discussed this. So they are going to be okay with Web3. Now, on the flip side, for some reason, everyone in crypto, particularly people who have been in crypto, have abandoned, I don't know, for lack of a better term, that's some coins that are out there, the better term, which is the rebellious libertarian aspect of crypto. So, for example, 100K Bitcoin was great for a zillion reasons, right? Now, the thing that was bad about 100K Bitcoin was that we're all sitting here cheering for entities like BlackRock and governments to pump our bags when the whole point of crypto and Web3 was to build an alternative and kind of get away from those people. We forgot about that. Now, I haven't forgotten about Web3 and DeFi and real world assets. I haven't forgotten about this. I'm drooling over this dip. But we did forget about that. And if you look at events that go on in the world, like, how about this like flash war out of Syria, right? Does anyone, what government, what people in the world voted for that? There are things going on out there that would make you think that I want alternatives. I want privacy. I want an alternative internet. I want an alternative finance system, not controlled by global governments, right? Even if you like the new government that's coming in the United States, Web3 is going to happen. It is absolutely going to happen. And you want to have capital and sanity to be able to get involved in 10 days, because that's what's it, right? I can feel this market driving everybody insane, right? You had euphoria followed by an oh my God. Now, how did we get to the oh my God? So this Google quantum computing news, they have a chip. It's a supercomputer. It's a supercomputer of a supercomputer, right? It's not super enough to break Bitcoin or break blockchain. And of course, crypto, like all things, like all organisms, will eventually adapt when this comes around. But if that news shook the market, that's how over-levered people were. Okay? That's how over-levered people were. Is if you can come out with like a catalyst that looks scary but isn't, people were over-leveraged. And in order to have a sustainable market, you have to wash people out. Now, you don't want to be one of those people, particularly when it comes to spot positions. So if positions have to be adjusted, if you were, moving around tactically, or you're like long to the gills, then maybe you got to make adjustments over the next 5 days. So when this thing turns around and takes off, it just goes, or you just leave it, right? Sometimes with bull markets, you have to ignore the noise, even if the noise is, I don't know, 4 or 5 days or 2 weeks. It's not clear what that is, but I'm okay with ignore the noise as long as you're not like leveraged crazy. All right. So let's welcome who's here, and let's get everybody back on track. All right. So we have Diogo is here. Welcome. Mahet, Recursion. Hi. Thomas, Ian. Beautiful day for a sale. It's true, man. It really is. They're going to cheapen this up, and some of this stuff was just going to go, and they actually stopped it for you. You may get another dip in the American-made cryptos like Hedera. Okay. So Old Smoky, what's going on? SGSG, the original on the stream. Arendam, Lily Crypto, Katharina, Miklo, Buildcraft Gaming, Lee, welcome. Crypto Scam, Danya, David, Seth, Ash, hello. Not for the weak of heart. What is for the word? Nasty bull market dip. Juicy though. Okay. Was this the second largest liquidation in crypto? Well, I think this is a big liquidation. I think there was a bigger liquidation off FTX. But again, the levered purge here, wow. Yeah, positive vibes, dude. This happens in bull markets. And you know what? The fact that it is happening means it is a bull market. That's how I would say it, right? Yee is here. Bossiv, Double X Breakfast Roll, Mike, Anthony, Pablo, Tharin. Good morning. All right. Okay, what are the assets you're seeing rally super hard in 10 days? Yeah, dude. DeFi, Web3, everything on Coinbase. Yeah, I'm serious. My Chainlink is holding okay. The American-made cryptos are going to be back. All right, let's go through news. Okay, as a reminder, if you think that there's going to be any playing around with what this administration wants to do, please think again. They're going to want Bitcoin, and they're going to want Web3. Matter of fact, I think that underpins the whole market. The fact that, these guys have talked about Bitcoin, and they're doing it. And, you get anything approaching, I think 97K Bitcoin is all right. But the Senate is now afraid to not confirm the orange man's, cabinet appointees, right? These guys say they're doing it. They're doing it. Now, speaking of doing it, the media cheers the surge in jobs, right? Meanwhile, they're just starting to report that all the numbers that they published were absolutely fake, that they could be fake. Jobs are being created. Jobs are not being created. The statistics, we won't know. But what we do know is that the current interest rate regime, it is a function of a supposedly strong job market. So rates are coming down. They're coming down. All right. Other countries are embracing digital assets and banning, right? Everyone says like the BRICS countries are coming. People, there's 2 currencies in the world. 3, actually. There's the dollar, there's gold, and then there's crypto, right? In other words, the dollar you can lump into, say, fiat in general, and the dollar may have its world reserve currency problems eventually because of the debt. But if you're looking for an immediate alternative to the dollar, it's gold, silver, and crypto. And if anything, this dip in crypto is going to be licensed for gold to take off. We'll look at it, see where it is. But gold turned around yesterday and went straight up. So we may just be entering a place where this dollar devaluation is moving from crypto over to precious metals, only to move back over to crypto and Web3. Because, you can chase memes, but you can see what happens when meme coins correct. Now, this is what created the big correction. So, this kind of affirms a suspicion that I have about Silicon Valley in general, right? They have the ability to create the sentient AI Skynet character from the Terminator movies. They could do it right now. They just don't have the hardware or the electricity, right? Like one of these guys wants to build a nuclear power plant connected to a data center. Google had sentient AI and had to unplug it. That was like 2 years ago. And now they got the chips that they can run it with. Now, can these things break crypto? No, they're not powerful enough. So does that make does that dampen the euphoria? Yeah, it's a catalyst to wipe out everybody who was hyper levered. And again, it's not even close to what it would take to take Bitcoin, to take, regular blockchain down. What it does make me think about is privacy. In other words, everyone assumes that the American government is pro-crypto. That's true, right? But what about all these other entities like Google, right? You know what I mean? I mean, they're developing supercomputers, right? They can have their own agenda. And is that agenda, as I always say this, right? Who's acting in your interest? Are sovereigns acting in your interest? Are banks acting in your interest? Are tech companies acting in your interest? So this headline originally creates, oh my God, I got to sell everything. And then I sat and thought about this headline as, well, if this doesn't create the case for Web3, these guys are not building anything. I mean, does that help humanity, or does that create some sort of giant monster? I want alternatives to whatever's going on right now. That's what I want. I want alternatives. Outdated, slow, old IT systems slow government and put taxpayers at risk. This comes from the U.S. of Government Accountability Office, which ironically is an area of the government where they actually published honest research about the budget, about all kinds of other things. Elon's going to be leveraging this. Again, the Department of Government Efficiencies, they're just going to make it work better, and they're not playing around. Okay, so the National Public Policy Research wants Amazon to move 5% of its $88 billion treasury into Bitcoin, claiming inflation is draining its cash faster than a prime day frenzy. I completely agree. Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP as money is a theme that you're going to have to use if they shake the tree for 10 days, because these themes are not going away, people. We're in the midst of a fiat devaluation, which is why when everybody went over the highly speculative memes on Solana, I mean, my understanding is that Solana is just getting wasted, meaning Solana memes and all this stuff that was highly speculative and had like multi-million dollar valuations, it's just going down in 40 and 50% increments. People thought they were safe in certain coins, and they're not. You're never safe in highly speculative assets. People told themselves a narrative that whatever coin that they were holding couldn't go down 50%. Now, Bitcoin's not going to go down 50%, right? I don't think XRP is going to go down 50%, but a lot of other coins could. And that's crypto. But the crypto as money part, the crypto as Web3 part, the crypto as an alternative from systems that don't have your interest at heart, oh, that's not going anywhere. Okay. Now, this is not bullish, right? I mean, Michael Saylor is retweeting this, but this is Donald Trump's son. This is probably one of the sharper guys in the group. He's confident that it's going to hit 1 million. Okay. Well, the reason it's not necessarily bullish is that Bitcoin at $1 million implies a lot of things. It involves problems with fiat, etc. So when everybody jumps on the $1 million price target, I mean, yeah, it's probably going to go there long term, but the world's going to look very different when that happens. Okay. Again, I don't think if you didn't have kind of a mini euphoria in crypto, I don't think this guy could have got on the stage and said Bitcoin's going to 1 million and have people agree. Whereas if he had talked like this 4 months ago or 3 months ago, or even before Thanksgiving, when everybody was like, it's never going through 100K. In other words, it's just a little too easy to talk about Bitcoin at 1 million. It's never easy. It's never easy. And when it gets easy, you can have these things that come out of nowhere, like this quantum computing headline. And then the next thing you know, $1 billion in leverage is being blown out of the system. Like nobody saw that coming. Nobody. I mean, yeah, people were over levered, but nobody saw the Google catalyst. All right. Bitcoin tumbles will be less abrupt after realized profit drops to 76%. Okay. So Bitcoin's daily realized profit message, an on-chain data point, has fallen. Signals of easing sell-side pressure emerges. All right. So I agree with this in the sense that, people may have sold at 100K in Bitcoin and gone home. Like Bitcoin trades like it's all sold out. That Bitcoin's just going to, if anything, just sit there. I can't believe that there's a big case to dump Bitcoin. Now, there is a big case to go back to what we saw in the range where big players potentially use altcoins like, say, Solana to try and flush the market down to try to trigger more stops so they can buy more crypto, Bitcoin, XRP, Ethereum, even Solana, right? Like if I was a market maker and I saw this price action and it didn't come back immediately, particularly with the amount of FOMO that you had, oh my God, I'd press this thing for as many days as they would let me, because they got to buy. Like, let's just not play around. Like this is like, well, the Bitcoin realized profit for short-term holders. Okay. Big players have to buy huge amounts of crypto, and they may press this thing on the downside to try to find every single stop they can before you wake up one day for the Santa rally and this thing just takes off, which is why you can't lose your mind. You have to be cognizant of what's happening. Namely, people got over levered, right? Massive leverage in the system. A crazy catalyst comes out. Everyone gets flushed out, and it's in the interest of big players to keep pushing it down, potentially, to try to run stops so they can buy all the crypto that they can. Because as you could see from 5 or 6 days ago, when Michael Saylor and all these guys were in the market, they couldn't get what they needed. It looked like it was just going to go be a volcano because there was no supply. And that's going to happen again. You may have to wait 5 days or 10 days, right? In the meantime, if it doesn't turn around and rebound, big players will push it. And it's kind of weird that even if it does slump or range, that to me is bullish. They run stops in Solana below 200, it's bullish. You should be down there with both hands buying it, like both hands. Like if you had conviction up at the top when this was go crazy, you got to have more conviction if they try to run stops again. Okay. So just as a reminder, the Google chip has, 105, let's just call it horsepower. To crack Bitcoin, you need 200 to 400 horsepower. They're not close yet. Everyone's freaking out, and that's a prototype that Google has. So again, this was less about blockchain and quantum computing and way more about leveraged washouts. Okay, the Bank of England will hide the identities of pension funds, insurers, or hedge funds bailed out under a new financial stability tool to prevent crisis contagion. Let's talk about this for a second. So the Bank of England has announced that they have a fund to stop a crisis when no one has really thought about or talked about a crisis. You had problems in legacy financial institutions. Everybody was having a huge party in crypto. I talked about why are we here? This is why we are here. This is why we're here. To get outside the system, to get outside of fiat, to get outside Silicon Valley, to find privacy, right? These things matter, and these things can drive a multi-year bull market in crypto. It's not just the party. It looks like a party at, various stages. But the reason we're here and the reason we're doing this and the reason why this is going up for years is because of this. It's because of this old why are we here stuff. Okay, Floki is now money. Check it out. Remember I talked about meme coins is money? Boom, here it is. Floki has a MasterCard. How long do you think before every big meme coin figures this out? Right? Memes can make themselves money by issuing a debit card. And even if the memes fluctuate in value, people might want to actually hodl the memes so they can use them as money. $813 million liquidated in 60 minutes. They wiped $1 billion out in 60 minutes. And who knows, there may be more. I don't know how much more there is. There's probably not much more in Bitcoin, but you can bet, just thinking calmly, you can bet if there's more leverage and more stops to get, they're going to get the stops, or they're going to try. They're going to try to get the stops because they know that they played this game over Thanksgiving and convinced everyone it's going lower. Okay, and I knew that was wrong. Now people may be convinced it's going to come back quickly. Not sure about that because I know this is the last attempt. This is the last chance for these big players to try to get whatever crypto they need. That's it. Like they got to get whatever crypto they need in 10 days and this is gone. And if you think about it that way, you might be able to tolerate the volatility a little easier. Okay, so El Salvador plans Bitcoin policy changes to try to get additional IMF loans against the Bitcoin. Now, one of the things that people forget about Bitcoin and crypto and its benefits is that if Bitcoin becomes collateral, like gold or treasuries, then people can use it, borrow against it, and make their life better. If you had a bunch of Bitcoin, or if you had even $10,000 worth of Bitcoin, you might be able to park that Bitcoin somewhere and use it to borrow against it the way you would borrow against a house. Again, this is not what people are thinking when they think about, oh, what meme coin can I get in so I can get 1,000x tomorrow? There are projects that you can get in to try to hodl, but everyone was looking for the quick buck. And the real money in this is going to be made over a period of years by trying to hodl stuff that is radically undervalued. Like, I just continue to think that. Marathon Digital, using proceeds from a legacy instrument, right? Mara has acquired 11,000 Bitcoin for roughly $96,000. You want to sell? Okay, we're sitting down here waiting for you. This is going to be across the board. It's going to be Bitcoin. It's going to be everything, which is why they got to run the stops while they can, right? I mean, Marathon Digital was so happy about being able to hoover up Bitcoin, right, at low levels, and they're going to hoover it up even more. Like, oh my God, we thought we were going to have to pay 105. It was the same thing at Thanksgiving, right? Everyone's like, oh God, we thought we were going to have to pay, 97 or 99 for Bitcoin. They wind up being able to buy it at like what, 92? They got like a 10% off sale. It's like, it's like holiday shopping. They got a sale. There will only be 21 Bitcoin ever to exist. 19.8 Bitcoins have been mined, controlled by math. It's a currency you can't print. Okay, so looking at the market right now, altcoins mixed, mostly down, Bitcoin up. Not surprising, although, wow, look at this. Can't believe this is up 15% today. This is real world assets, man. So this is an example of what I'm talking about. You have a big chart point. You have these Lux algo lines, the accumulation cones, right? This is the first time that the market has not hit the bottom of these cones and launched higher. But what they did do is they ran stops, right? If you look at Ohm, it's up 15% today because BlackRock and all these Wall Street investment houses, they're going to want the governance tokens. They can't get involved unless they have control. And the only way to get control in a decentralized universe is to buy the governance tokens. So market goes down one day, boom, right back. That's BlackRock. Or all these banks that have to get involved. They have to get involved outside crypto because the crypto train is leaving without them. And the decentralized financial system is going to get built. It is. We're moving outside the banks. All right. So let's go to PowerPoint. Discuss some levels. Okay, Bitcoin. A lot of drama. The 13 top signal, ironically, didn't really turn out to be a top for Bitcoin. I mean, it went down 4%, but I don't know. Who cares? It was probably a signal for the overall market that I wasn't expecting, but Bitcoin's still hanging around 96. Bitcoin hangs around 96. It's fine. The upside target is eventually 115. That's probably where the Christmas blow off top is going to go. Okay, now Bitcoin on a 4-hour chart. So what's happened is, here's your super bullish formation, but a lot of these cryptos pounded out the bottom. Now, of course, to state the obvious, if crypto ever actually started recovering like now, oh my God, that would be super bullish. I mean, if this correction was a one-day phenomenon, which, in Bitcoin, it could be, right? If Bitcoin holds 97 and starts grinding back up again, this would be a ridiculously bullish setup. So I know they're out there. I know they're trying to scoop this up. They're trying to run everyone's stops because they know, like, dude, Bitcoin re-enters this formation. Bitcoin goes to 98. It's going to 108 or 115. Now, Solana, it's not totally clear, right? 210 is a level. The real support is at 194. Like, that's the Lux Algo support. That's also like the big prior high from, say, the summer. Are they going to go down here and test this? I don't know. I mean, if they did, it could be too good to be true. It could be, because, they're just going to try to press to run stops. And of course, eventually, this is the key thing you need to remember, eventually that backfires, just like it backfired over Thanksgiving. They're going to try anyway because they're desperate. Now, if Solana just sits here and range trades and Bitcoin comes back, it's fine. If they run stops, you better be down there with additional capital. Like, everyone's like, oh, I want to rush into crypto at the top. No, when you want to rush into crypto is when they're selling it or artificially suppressing it, frankly, like they did for 8 months. This bull market was artificially suppressed for 8 months for a variety of reasons, the biggest of which is BlackRock and everybody had to get long. So they held everything down by leaning on altcoins. Now they try this again. They know it's going to blow up in their face, but we need Web3, right? We need to go outside the system. So even if they do drop Solana, it's a buy. If they don't drop Solana, it just sits here, it's a buy. Or if you don't care about the difference between 212 and 194, like, I just got to think in ski mask, dog, like, it's going to fly around. It's going to, stuff's going to fly around. Arrow, all the base coins, they're going to fly around. At the end of the day, honestly, who cares? Some good old fashioned Charles Schwab, and ignore the noise. Like, we can sit here and say, well, are they going to run stops? Are they going to do this? The market is down on a BS catalyst, and they're trying to get your crypto, because when this thing turns around, it's going to be epic. Just that you're dealing with volatility, and you could have an annoying correction, because before you have really big rallies, you've got to discourage people. That's just how it works. Like Thanksgiving, everyone's like, well, this is a repeat of 2022 and it's going 30% lower. No, it didn't. No, it didn't. In this case, I don't know. People may think it's coming right back, and it may not. And people may get irritated because they rushed in and it was a giant party, and now it might suck for 5 days. Right? Everybody was like, oh, I need 1,000x now. Like, the greed impulse was, understandably out of control. But this is a check on that impulse. Why are we here? And where are you going to make the most money and take the least heat? Right? You do all memes, you can take heat. You over-allocate in a portfolio towards highly speculative stuff, you may wind up losing money that you might want to put in, like, Web3, Solana, Chainlink, Cardano, XRP, all this stuff that's going to 10x over a period of years, with you taking minimal, you're not going to be dealing with like 80% drawdowns. That's what I'm saying, right? So XRP, okay, so, this warning was actually here yesterday when they broke out of this triangle at the apex to the downside. Like, well, maybe they can turn and flip it around, or maybe it's just flat out bearish. They broke through it on the downside and then ran the stops, and they may not be done. Right? It may have to come back down here below $2. Now, meanwhile, coins like Chainlink are doing just fine. They're fine. They got Lux Algo support underneath the market. There's no reason to expect materially more downside when you look at Chainlink. Really, what you may get is just like sideways. It's like you go back to XRP. XRP may just make one of these like quiet rectangular ranges. That's it. And even if they do flush it out one more time, that literally is Christmas, holidays, Santa, presents, whatever. If they actually did that, because you would clear out all of the leverage and have nothing but this fundamental story with prices down 30 or 40%. I mean, it happened in 2017. They dropped the market 30, 40% before they turned around and just absolutely went parabolic. Absolutely the same thing could go on here. Absolutely, especially if they're successful in running stops, pushing the market down, because at that point, whatever they don't get, oh my God, they're gonna seriously market buy everything. Just believe it or not, they as in institutions, out of fear. Like there's nobody happier about this decline than crypto hedge funds, because they're sitting there with billions upon billions flowing in, and they're like, oh my God, how do we deploy this? How do we deploy this money? Like, what are we going to do? Are we going to pay 115 for Bitcoin? So they're going to try to get your crypto. Don't give them your crypto. If you have to adjust your book, fine, adjust your book. But maybe you just ignore the noise, because, in a confusing market, this is another radical idea. You don't have to do anything. Maybe you just sit there and ignore the noise. And if they take it down, you can sit there and get your Zen on and be like, yo, I'm coming. I'm piling in. Now, here's what happened in Arrow, right? So this is the daily chart. You had this big move up. Lux Algo, once it turned, marked this as a 5-wave, which means the trend is temporarily over or is going to be interrupted by a consolidation phase, which is not the end of the world. Again, people were giving up on Arrow like recently. People gave up and then it went straight up. Seriously, this little red on red thing, people give up. They did this in Arrow before. They gave up, and then when they were done giving up, it goes up. So what am I telling you? Well, people just gave up in Arrow and they just came back in. They've been giving up on this for 6 months, and it's still at $2. Like, what happens when, like, frankly, the real trend starts? This is like the first part. This is the warm-up. This is third inning in American baseball. Everyone's going to get all discouraged. Why? They're handing you a pause that refreshes. Okay, so let's just look at H-bar Hedera tactical, right? This is an 89-minute chart. You're looking at this 3 months from now, we may be laughing or crying. I think laughing. So when you go into a consolidation phase, when you see these X indicators, okay, these X indicators mean that you can continue to have corrective activity. So you had an X indicator here. Hedera tried to take off. You had more corrective activity. These type of X waves can breed themselves, meaning, the more X's you have, the more X's you do have until the consolidation phase is over, right? Ranges, as you're discovering, suck. This in Hedera, this back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Watch everyone out. We did this in crypto for 8 months when we thought it was a bull market and it should have been going up. Like I was telling you, it's bad. We did it for 8 months. I am confident we can do it for 8 more days if that's what it takes. But they may flush this out. They may continue to flush it out again, right? And it's flushing it out into this green bar area, which is like the cheap zone or the discount zone for Hedera, again, on a very tactical chart. So if they want to hand this thing to you and be like, okay, Hedera is over. No, it's not. It's not over. But what may be over is levered longs who are expecting 1,000x tomorrow. Yeah, they may get out. They get all the jeets out of this stuff in the stock market. Warren Buffett, all of these guys that everybody in crypto probably likes to make fun of. You know how these guys made all their money? They would sit and wait for all of the day traders, all of the short-term people, and all the people who didn't understand what volatility was like inside bull markets. And you would have these moves and they would stand down there and take everything. They would just take everything. The hedge funds, the smart money when I was at Goldman that hoovered up the Magnificent Seven in 2010 and 2011 and rode that for 15 years. Stan Druckenmiller rode these type of stocks for years. Same thing in crypto, except now we're looking at this like little tiny area. We're like, oh, here's my telescope, right? Okay, here we go. Oh my God, I'm worried. It went down 3%. Oh no, people, what are we talking about? We're talking about the future of the internet here. Talking about Web3 made by Americans, like getting outside the system, right? Led, ironically, by a government who has to grow this industry to create economic growth, right? Like this administration wants LinkedIn to where you click crypto jobs and there's hundreds of listings, hundreds, thousands. That's what they need. They need Web3, right? They need to build something where you can go outside the system in case there's a problem with the system. And that is the market update. Okay. So let's see what we got in the chat. Okay, so what do I think about alien-based devs not publicly known? Dude, look, when you're dealing with small projects, you take all kinds of risk. You take team risk, you take execution risk, right? You take liquidity risk because you can't always get in and out of small projects. I let fundamental analysts do fundamental work. I stick with charts and narratives, right? Like the narratives, like the American-made cryptos, like the privacy narrative, the Web3 narrative. That's how I do it. Okay. Okay. So there's seamless and trueflation. So honestly, with trueflation, I hated it when it first came out. I hated it because it had a huge valuation and a boil the ocean approach, right? They wanted to replace Wall Street and the Bureau of Labor Statistics all at once. Now, given that we can't get integrity in economic data, that may wind up working out. But again, everyone wanted 1,000x in a month. Everybody wanted to come into the market and get 1,000x because they heard someone else got 1,000x. And I know here's this old guy with a gray beard trying to explain to you, why are you here? And of course, that nobody hears that because the greed impulse is too strong. Now that they're washing out the greed impulse, you got to ask yourself, what do I want in my portfolio? Do I want stuff in my portfolio that's not performing? If you had a bull market and it didn't go up or it didn't show any sign of life, maybe that's a signal that you want to be holding less of that crypto. If it shows signs of life, you're okay. But if you had an initial 1-month bull run, you want to buy the dip and what the market has shown. Yeah, this is going to be it for the next 5 years. Okay. We have TIA. Okay. And I think the most hopeful thing is Ohm up 15% today. Like that is, I'm like, wow. They are going to get after this thing. Chainlink up 2%. Oh my God, look at this. See, when you talk about flushing people out, this is already flushed out. Like I bet we could go through like 40 altcoins and find a lot of them already blown out. Like they blew out everything since Thanksgiving in TIA, right? What are they going to do? They went down the Lux Algo support. They wicked it down here. Everyone gave up. Everyone gave up right here. It's like red on red, right? And then you got Lux Algo buy signals on the 4-hour chart. You don't have every Lux Algo buy signal, but anything that's up when the market's down, like look at Aave. Oh my God. All of this Coinbase DeFi. Everyone's like, ooh, I have to go on a giant hunt. I have to quit my job to do research. Do you? Do you? It's telling you right now, like sushi was taking off. Like you had this, like, you had whatever I would consider, excuse me, you had this, I don't know, you had this BS disruption, right? Here's sushi, right? Again, when institutions have to come in, when the world builds decentralized finance, what are they going to have to do? They're going to have to buy governance tokens. We talked about this. I talked about it. Here's your dip in your governance tokens. And then it turns around and it's up 5%. They're going to get after this thing. They unwound the whole December rally in one day. And they can't, and they obviously can't hold it down. They want to hold it down, but they can't. So, the market is telling you. All right. So let's review. You could have a range. This is a good time to clean out your portfolio. Anything that didn't work, you get rid of. Anything that the market is telling you is going to work, okay, has dipped. And you got an opportunity to get in. And don't give me this, I don't want to buy the dip. Now, if there are bad trades that you did, I just did one. If you did a bad trade, just get out of it. Just be like, okay, I'm done. Tax loss sell. What's next? We're sitting here looking at a 5-year bull market. Everybody thinks it's like an 18-month or 15-month cycle. I think it's a 5-year bull market. That's what I think. Can you have these disruptions? Yeah, because you got a lot of capital in speculative instruments. But the speculative washouts give you a huge opportunity to get involved in quality. And you're like, well, what's quality? Well, it's whatever's up when the market's down. Or whatever fits like these huge investing themes that, I don't know, I feel like I'm the only guy on the planet talking about it. So, yeah, it's like, okay, everyone got stopped out. Everyone got washed out. Okay, good. Because you can't have a bull market without fear. You can't have, the market has to climb the wall of worry. Okay, so that's it for today. I will see you tomorrow.